Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel as we continue to examine pre-spamdemic entertainment media and expose the programming that was preparing us for what was to come. So what are we going to look at today? Well, we're going to cover the 1919 Netflix series called V-Wars, and this predated the VidCo-19 demic, but it seems to be happening right now. Now, the series is about an ancient prion, or prion, some people pronounce it, that was unearthed from the thawing polar ice caps that causes people to turn into vampires. Now, I've seen a lot of this programming of the fear of melting things. And this is what they're trying to program us with, this fear of things that melt and what could be inside. Okay? This isn't the only series that is propagated this fear. And it's because they want you to associate melting polar ice caps and global warming. They want you to associate that with fear. It's kind of like all of the cabin in the woods types of films that they did to scare you out of living by yourself in the middle of the woods. They want you to feel safe in the grid, which of course is about the least safe place you could be. So let's get back to this plot. So this weird disease basically starts to spread rapidly, this prion, and patient 0, who is the leader of the infected people, his name is Feign. Now, he strikes a deal with the politicians to stop his people from taking more victims, because they're like, you guys, you can't do this. And the government offers a substitute so that they no longer have to do what vampires do. Feign accepts this offer, but realizes that it is laced with poison and it kills most of the vampires. Now, of course, we've gone very deep into this Feign character. Now, his name is spelt different, of course, but the audible sounds and looks just like the word Feign, which is this god of creation. Feign is the Orphic egg, and his method of creation is mingling. This is what he did. He mingled things together. Now, this reminds me of what the Bible says, the prophecy of Daniel. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And this occurs in the last days, the last part of Daniel's prophecy. So who are they is the question. And how are they mingling themselves with the seed of men, like Feign did? So we're going to look at this trailer that I uploaded yesterday and get some more insight into this, break down the trailer in its entirety to see what's going on here. And as we go through this, no matter how specific it gets, realize that this was aired on Netflix in its entirety before there was a single case of VidCo-19. Let's begin. Let's take a look at this trailer here. Let me make sure you guys are with me before we keep going with this. Make sure there's no hiccups. Okay, it looks like the stream's coming through. All right, let's take a look. So the official trailer for V-Wars came out on 11/19/19. Now, obviously, there's a reason why it came out on that date, but I'll let you put the puzzle pieces together. And then the series actually aired a month later on December 5th, still predating any cases of VidCo-19.
If you ask me, I don't think it's going to be asteroids or nuclear war that wipes us out. It's going to be this. It's going to be this. It's going to be this.
Now, the series opens, this is the very first episode, with a hypothetical of what could wipe out mankind. And to me, this looks like a protein spike. Now, I know there's a lot of viruses that look like this, but the timing is the giveaway. The timing, just a month before all this would kick off.
It's going to be this. It's going to be this. Ancient forms of these pathogens could start a pandemic that makes the bubonic plague look like a chicken pox. This isn't nature crying out for help. These are warning shots. These are warning shots.
So, he mentions a coming spamdemic, which of course happened a few months later. He mentions warning shots, which of course it has a double meaning, right? Because we're all getting warning shots. And you're going to hear him next talk about trusting science, which is of course all happening right now.
Warning shots. Warning shots. Warning shots. Science has no borders, no agenda. Only truth.
So science has no borders, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Science has no borders. They're all speaking with one voice, pretty much. I mean, the only thing up for debate right now, which I believe is a controlled debate, is this whole moon city. And if it's okay for it to be natural, because in Europe, they're claiming that that's enough. But here in the United States, they're claiming it's not. And both sides have their studies. And so that's the only debate pretty much going on. But I believe that's just a manufactured debate. And in the end, they're going to say that they are going to decide that the Pokemon sticker has superior or equal protection, is what they're probably going to say.
I'm calling on you, the global scientific community, to come together and pool your resources and knowledge to get ahead of this. And the data tells us that this is inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Thank you.
Thank God. Gentlemen, you're free to go.
Wait.
So let's back up a little bit. So that doctor and his friend go to investigate this Arctic station. And that's where they get exposed. In this scene, they're in quarantine. And this guy lets them go. He says we couldn't find anything, but they missed the prions. They didn't see them. They did not detect them, even though both are infected. And so you're going to hear a lot of the same terms being used that are being used right now in this TV series that predates the spamdemic.
Emil, we don't know why we're not shedding the virus yet.
So, and then we have lots of hidden symbolism in phrases and terms. Okay. In this particular part of the series, in this episode, what you're going to see is an entity, not an entity. What's the proper word for this? It's an organization, a covert organization started by this woman in the series, kind of like a WikiLeaks kind of thing. It's called Revileaks. And so they basically realize and find out and discover that these vampires have been infected and that they're going around. But while the establishment is trying to deny the existence, and so this woman gains popularity. But on her poster, as you're going to see next, it appears to me with my spiritual eyes that I see the word COVID. Watch. Now, why would I see with my spiritual eyes that this says COVID? Well, they're divulging the hidden things, right, in its coverage. So if you take COV and then DI and reverse it, you can get COVID, right? But again, these are spiritual eyes we're talking about here. Let's keep going. So as this Revelix character begins to dig into this and try to uncover this, they hack the coroner's office website, and they find that these people have been brought there and they've been insanguinated. In other words, they've been drained of all their red fluid in their body. Well, the first patient listed in the coroner's site is McLeod. We've heard that name before, haven't we? This is the T-Rump's mother's maiden name, Highlander Connor McLeod, Clan McLeod. Now, of course, he's a Gemini, so you see it repeated twice, as are all the other names, but his name is at the top of the list. So there's something to this. Let's keep watching.
Wait, go back. Not much blood left in them.
Might have something to do with being torn apart. So, where'd it go?
Good question.
So, weird, right? Remember all the drives that were going on, the red fluid drives that were going on in the middle of the spamdemic? The T-Rump was telling everyone to go and give because it was the plasma that was going to help treat people, is what he said. Remember all that? Remember that? And then, so what was that all about? I don't know.
Good question. Good question.
Proteins that cause really bad shit, like mad cow. Extremely rare and highly contagious.
So they realize that the pathogen is a prion, which causes mad cow and other neurological disorders. And remember, we were talking about this about 9 months ago. We were talking about the breakout, the weird Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease that was going on in New Brunswick. Well, here we get the same theme popping up. So how do you get these prions? Well, you get them when you eat the brains of infected animals. And in New Brunswick, they were dropping this anti-rabies pellets onto the wildlife there from airplanes. And we had found out that some of these rabies medications they were dropping out of these planes might have been sourced from the brains of animals. Okay, so we've got a food chain issue. Now, New Brunswick has not discovered or realized the possible source of this Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. They have not related it back to the brains of any animals yet, but it's a strong theory, right? What if it did come from that? Because that's how they manufacture rabies medications for animals. Some of the older generations of these medications were cultured in the brains of sheep and I think monkeys. Let's keep watching.
Down to long shots. Parasites, fungus, prions. And I may have helped cover up the crime.
The doctor may have helped cover up the crime, as you just heard. Now, there's a lot more I want to say about the neurological effects in the film or in the series, but I can't say them. So, let's keep watching.
Who's your friend, Doctor?
Michael Feign.
So here's Feign. We just covered this in the opening of the show today. And Feign is right out of I Pet Goat 2, the Orphic Egg. Okay? Genetics.
Michael Feign. Michael Feign.
It's positive for prions.
But these particular prions are unknown.
It's unknown.
They've recovered prions from all 3 samples.
Michael Feign.
Yes. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you.
Shouldn't have said it like that.
It's okay. I know she's bad.
Now, here's the egg. The egg appears, right? The Orphic Egg. Got these twisty lamps back here. which is kind of like the twisting serpent. This was placed here intentionally. Okay.
Hey, I made some of her specials.
So, just to be clear, Feign is connected to the Orphic egg, which is also connected to Pan. It's all right there in Wikipedia. Let's keep watching. So this girl's obviously infected, and on the wall in the poster, you see what is called the chess apple. Now, we had identified this last week. A chess apple tree is a tree that reproduces itself with shoots or shots, not seed germination, because in many places where it grows, it's not warm enough for the seeds to germinate. How do you think vampires reproduce? They reproduce in the same way. So that is the analogy. That's the metaphor. So here you have chessboard and you have apple, chess apple. All this symbolism is strategically placed here.
They don't kill people. They inject an addictive biological narcotic, a variant of...
So a lot of the same terminology happening right now, right? So they discover that if you have this particular genetic variant mutation, then you can turn into a vampire. So now they can identify who's going to turn once they're infected with the prions. But this isn't good, because now they begin to hunt them down. They hunt down anybody with the variant, they quarantine them, or they take them out. So what I believe this entire plot is depicting is a complete role reversal. The vampires they're depicting in the series is really the holy seed of Christ, who will be hunted down for resisting the mark. And so they're depicting us as the vampires. And what this is doing is it's to plant seeds of fear against those of us who are different. It's to spin the rest of humanity into a rage against us when we don't suffer the same plagues that they do. Watch.
The predator gene. It keeps their victims docile.
Hereditary cardiomyopathy, NH47.
That's rare. Yeah, so?
So, I cross-type for genetic mutations among the four of you.
NH47. So someone gets exposed to the prion.
And they're gonna transform. They need this gene variant inside them. You can test for it in an hour. And it's not even expensive. I mean, out of everyone who gets exposed, this could tell us who will transform. This could lead to a cure.
The boy could be a predator by now, so when you get him and his father, take him immediately to the new facility.
Yes, sir.
This isn't just quarantine.
No. I mean, this is one step away from mass executions. It's an internment camp.
But it's been difficult to find suitable volunteers.
You're going to come across supply chain issues, medication enforcement, compliance, bloods who refuse to take it, immunity.
So they come up with this fake alternative red body fluid, right? And it's called blood sub. And this politician here thinks that she's doing something good and that she's, able to come to a truce with these vampires. She's going to offer them this free, government subsidized blood sub, right? But she's upstaged by this military faction who all they want to do is eradicate the vampires. They don't want to work with them. So what does the military faction do? They spike the free government substitute with poison, and half the vampires die. He talks about the challenges here of distributing the cure, which sounds a lot like what we've heard before, doesn't it? Let's listen to this again. Talking about the challenges of distribution.
Difficult to find suitable volunteers.
You're going to come across supply chain issues, medication enforcement, compliance, bloods who refuse to take it, immunity.
So, supply chain, I mean, that's about all we could say. I'm just showing you what's in the episode. I'm not saying anything that this happened before the spamdemic, right? This is very specific, you guys. Now, they then begin to realize that true immunity comes only from experimenting on children in this TV episode. And the overtones of that are pretty chilling.
No one's found immunity.
That's not for certain. My son, Des, has the predator gene. He was exposed to the prions. He got sick. But
He recovered.
now it's a possibility of immunity.
Now, some of the vampires don't want to kill, so they just drink donated plasma. You can't make this up, you guys. Remember the drives that were happening during the spamdemic, and the president got up on stage and said, everybody give plasma.
I want to help with your research. You know, testing for the immunity thing.
Really?
Found another Easter egg here on the back of her laptop. And you'll see a protein spike with a yin and yang inside of it. Let's take a look. Now, some people are going to say, Casey, that's just the rays of the sun. Okay, if that's what you want to believe.
Powerful people, off the books. Very.
Okay, so what's this next part? Okay, so the vamps decide that to even the odds, they have to get people on their side. So they devise this plan to turn the president's daughter so that maybe he'll have sympathy on them and he won't want to wipe them out. So they show up to this secret party. It's like an eyes wide shut type of party. And they're in disguise. They're wearing masks. Now, as you watch this next scene, my spiritual eyes are telling me that their masks are coming off and ours are going on. So in other words, they're dropping their mask, and when they pull the mask down from their eyes, it covers our mouth.
Twisted. Men gotta wear masks and shit. You were there?
Let me see your eyes, sir. Remove the mask.
Can you see the symbolism here? Their mask comes down and it covers our mouths.
Completely takes away your urge to feed, and it's government funded, and it's distributed for free. It's a blood substitute with a modified blood enzyme.
But what if I can't guarantee that every blood's going to agree to?
So this is the leader. This is Feign. Okay. And this is more about this substitute. And he's like, how am I going to get them to take it?
Modified blood enzyme.
But what if I can't guarantee that every blood's going to agree to take it?
So the very last episode. Now, if you're still in doubt, okay, 'cause some people, every once in a while, I get probably like 5% of people that watch this channel that are new to it. They, you know, I don't know, I guess whatever you call it, you know, lack of attention span or whatever to get through the entire decode. They'll see a couple of statements that we make, and then they'll just say, oh, you're just making stuff up. Well, let me show you. This is the last episode. This is the title of the last episode that, again, aired on December 5th, 2019. And it's titled Bloody But Unbowed. Now, we know what the bow is. It's from Revelation 6:2. It's a ribbon. And it was the rider on the white horse carrying a crown and a ribbon, or a bow, called a toxon in the Greek. But this goes deeper. This is a quote from none other than a poem called Invictus. And here you see the quote, "I'm bloody but unbowed." And it talks about the unconquerable soul, which is really the unconquerable sun, which is what Invictus means. Soul, Invictus, the unconquerable sun, which we talked about here in many decodes. We talked about Cabrini Green and the monument. We talked about the Statue of Liberty and that this Cabrini Green monument was pointing toward the Statue of Liberty. We've talked about Helios. We've talked about Dionysus. All of these are the same God, all born on December 25th, who is the Antichrist counterfeit version of Jesus Christ. And here is the unconquerable sun. Now, this poem basically reads like a defiant soul in the clutches of hell. Okay, Casey, you found some kind of a connection here, but I'm still not convinced. Here's Soul Invictus, the actual poem, and the description of it, relating it back to hell. And if you're still not convinced, here is the author of that poem. And his appearance was said to be that of the god Pan. Bringing this back full circle to our original findings about Pan. Let me show you this here. Unbelievable. Now, when I saw this, I got chills because this is confirmation of an earlier interpretation of the work that we did to reveal this stuff. This is the Orphic egg. Pan is the Orphic egg. Feign, the Feign character. The Orphic egg. And these are the kind of connections that are laying just beneath the surface that confirm the revelations of all of our investigations. Nobody could possibly make all this up. The connections are there with just a little bit of digging. And when we uncover this stuff, it also gives us a snapshot into the sophistication, the higher intelligence within the script that reveals the author. In other words, on the surface, this just appears to be a slightly silly vampire flick, right? Juvenile, kind of silly. But when you dig just a little bit, you realize that this is all actually very well thought out, and it's planned and orchestrated, which is really creepy. The level of research that they would have to do to incorporate these elements in what seems to be a simple script. The naming of the characters, the themes running through it, all goes back to these ancient vampires. Feign, and this isn't widely known stuff, okay? This isn't like this is vampire lore, okay? This is hidden, and it all points back to this false god, Soul Invictus. So, this is the author of that poem, and his physical appearance, his name is William Ernest Henley. And one of his friends said, "To me, he was a startling image of Pan, come to earth and clothed, the great god Pan, with halting foot and flaming shaggy hair, and arms and shoulders huge and threatening, like those of some faun or satyr of the ancient woods, and the brow and eyes of the Olympians." This is chilling because it's real. This is real. Now let's get back into this. Wow.
Bloods don't trust us any more than we trust them. But until we find a cure, the synthetic blood is our best option.
There's no way this thing holds. These Bloods are out of control. They are not going to line up for some government serum.
Well, Giroux is staking everything on this.
This is an incredible moment.
So they're giving out all this free substitute. These are all vampires. They're giving it away for free. Free, free, free. It's free. That's all I could say. Okay. And then they realize that they've been poisoned. They all start dropping out.
We can only hope that in this atmosphere of reconciliation, justice will now be served.
So they call this whole process reconciliation as they reach out to the vampires. What is the bill trying to be passed for the budget? It's called the Reconciliation Bill. Let's keep watching.
Reconciliation. Justice will now be served.
Reconciliation in New York has seemingly backfired.
What is the name of the theme of when all this started? It was called Together. We're all in this together.
That in this
We're all in this together. Let's keep watching.
atmosphere of reconciliation, justice will now be served.
Reconciliation in New York has seemingly backfired as dozens lay dying after ingesting blood sub. The compound that was supposed to save lives is, by every indication, deadly. Has seemingly backfired as dozens lay dying after ingesting blood sub.
So here's what they look like, these boxes of this substitute. The politicians are in shock. She's like, but we tested it. But it basically takes them all out. Now, I got a close-up of this box in one of these scenes. Let's take a look.
This doesn't make sense. We tested it. Oh my God, Amelie.
She seems fine.
What I gave her was from the first batch. The stuff that went out to the public, it must have been tainted.
So I tried to scan this QR code, and it's because it's like in an angle like this, I couldn't figure it out. But if one of you guys could scan that QR code and tell me what comes of it, let me know, because that would be huge. But I took a look at this box down here where the barcode is, and my spiritual eyes tell me that this is CO, and 5s are 2s, because when you rotate 5s, they become 2. So this is actually 22. 22nd letter of the alphabet is V, and then you have a 19 here in reverse. So what this really says is COV 19.
We're poisoned.
So they were tricked. They were poisoned. Now you're going to hear him next talk about a next phase. What's the next phase? Well, some guy takes over the vampires. They basically kill Feign. Feign gets taken out because he's weak. The vampires see him as weak. Another guy takes over the vampires, and he says the next phase is to put the prions into the water supply. He holds up this jar of what looks like muddy water.
We're poisoned. At least half the blood sub was poisoned. 20% would have been fine. Giroux's peace treaty is over. The Bloods will never trust humans again. How they did it was overkill, mind you. Regardless, moving on to the next phase. Have the deliveries been completed?
It was a trick.
Something is horribly wrong. The blood sub is killing people who drink it.
Don't be stupid. They wouldn't go back on them.
Our people are dying everywhere. They made us show ourselves and drink this shit. It's wiping us out.
Seems to me your only option is to fully empower the Department of National Security. It might be our last chance to stop this thing. Full emergency powers for the DNS, martial law to deal with vampire sympathizers. He is signing the executive orders as we speak.
So, of course, there is a rash of executive orders that flying off the desk with full emergency powers. Remind you of something? March 13th, Friday the 13th, 2020. National emergency declared by T. Rump.
We get everything.
It is not possible that this was natural, damn it. This was mass murder.
I look responsible for this.
Hi, you've reached the personal voicemail of Senator Sasha Giroux.
So that lady you just saw is the Senator Sasha Giroux. And she is the tip of the spear. Where have we heard that before? Probably about 20 decodes we did on the spear and what that is, what it represents. Demon possession is the spear. The serpent in the chest. Time travel is like a spear or an arrow coming out of your chest, said Donnie Darko, which of course is T. Rump's favorite movie. His military photos are a spear, and he's at the tip. Now, her name also means old man. Who do you think the old man is? That's Bo Jiven. So you see, we don't just make stuff up because it sounds good. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but, you know, lately we've had a rash of trolls descending on the channel. That's when we know we are close to something huge. So I have to let people know because it's easy to plant seeds of distrust in people. Oh, he just wants to put videos up. He just wants to get subscribers. No. We're finding real stuff here. Watch.
Senator Sasha Giroux. Senator Sasha Giroux.
So here's the meaning of her name. It means old man or spear. Wolf Giroux. So they named her intentionally because she was the one who got them to drink the blood sub, right? Wow.
There can be only one winner in this battle for survival. There can be only one. There can be only one. There can be only one. There can be only one.
There can be only one. Where have you heard that before on this channel? Highlander. There can be only one. And remember that we exposed that? McLeod, Connor McLeod, Clan McLeod. That's T. Rump's mother's maiden name. And all of that was filmed right there on the Isle of Lewis. Where he's from, where she's from.
But humans, weak, divided, and terrified, simply don't deserve to win. This is the source of the infectious prion. We've placed a very great deal of this substance in the water supplies of several major cities. It's finally at a stage that nature intended it for.
So, obviously, a lot of disclosure here. There was no season 2 because it was canceled. This was 10 episodes that I had to watch from start to finish and collect all of these clips that you just saw. It took me about 10 hours to get through it all, collect the clips, edit it down. Okay, this is not an easy job, finding this stuff. And yet, videos like this will sit at 10, maybe 8 or 10,000 people seeing the video. I don't know why that ever happens, but it's just what it is. All I can do is do what I'm told by the Most High and keep helping people to see. Now, you heard him say this thing is finally at a place where they can use it as he's holding up this bottle of these prions. So that tells me that they've had this for a while, but they didn't have a form that they could put it into to affect the world in the series. And this is, we're not talking about real life here. We're talking about in the series. Okay. They didn't have a way to really weaponize this. So the inference here is that they figured out a way to do it in the series, in the show. Okay. Nothing in this decode has anything to do with real life. I just want to be clear to anyone watching who's reviewing this video. Has absolutely nothing to do with real life. So this is all fiction. Okay. All right, let's go into the chat here. I love you guys. You know, I do this. This is not easy. There's spiritual armor that you have to have on to see through all this stuff. But I've been tasked with this. I truly believe this. I've been tasked with this job by the Most High to help people to wake up. And so I take this very seriously. And if I don't have anything real to show you, then I won't show you anything. All right, let's get into the chat here. Now, tomorrow, we'll be back on here with headlines. Between the headlines show. Got to get caught up every once in a while because the headlines start stacking up, as you can see in my tabs across the top. And so a lot to cover, a lot of big changes. California is doing away with gasoline-powered lawn equipment. Can you believe this? You can't fire up a lawnmower anymore. What is happening to this world? We've also got, what else? A lot of troops have not complied yet. We'll see how that shakes out. What else do we have here? We're gonna talk about Scott Gottlieb. That was T. Rump's appointment, who did not believe in religious exemptions and did not when he was appointed by T. Rump. So why would he appoint somebody like that? So we'll see what he has to say. We're going to look at hand sanitizer, where they found cancer-causing ingredients, hand sanitizers that supposedly passed all the checks and tests, and yet they were causing cancer for people. We're going to talk about hesitancy with police officers. We're going to talk about Government Abbott's ban on the sticker mandates in Texas. We're going to talk about Mr. Sellout Michael Jordan, who endorses what the NBA did and what they're saying they want to do. Talk about Gruden, who just got cancel cultured and resigned as the Raiders coach because of the technocracy. Made some comments, racist comments. Look, those are supposed to be private emails, right? And I'm not trying to defend a racist, but here's the thing. If they can go back into the technocratic history or the history of your life, every single person has made weird comments in portions and times of their life that may or may not reflect who you are now. So the fact that they're even allowing that to be admissible is bone chilling, because they could do that to any one of us. You guys, the world is going insane. We've got articles talking about forced stickers, saying that that will help Bo Jiven's approval ratings. We're also going to talk about Red Balloon's job dashboard. I don't know. It seems like it's gaslighting, because we talked about the red balloons, didn't we? They're saying this is a job site. Well, anyway, we'll get into all these headlines. There's so much. I just want to give you guys a snapshot into what we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. So I'm going to start working on my show notes for that for tomorrow. Now, I'll probably take the weekend off because I'm mentally exhausted. So, but we'll stay strong through the rest of this week. This was a particularly difficult decode that we did today because the subject matter is very hard to get through because the programming is just so blatant. All right, let's go into the chat just for a little bit. In the last days, knowledge shall increase. Yes, EABC. And I appreciate you always bringing forth scripture in your comments. I really appreciate that. Do I have a video about the God Hour? Yeah, that video should be on this channel somewhere. We talked about the God hour. Yes, Jesus did not complain, Judy, and you're absolutely right. My apologies. I lay all my pride at the door. This is why we always give the glory to God and the Most High on this channel. I just get tired. I'm a human being, and I'm working very hard to do this. And so I ain't no Jesus, of course. He had limitless energy probably because he was perfect. And so I don't even come close to him. But, you know, I just see that some people are working really hard and some people aren't. And God has humbled this channel. Been on here for 9 years. Look at how many subscribers we have. So we've had our slice of humble pie. So there is no ego here on this channel. So, but if I came across like that, please accept my apology. And I'm saying that with all sincerity. I don't want anyone to ever think that this is a prideful channel, because we always give the glory to the Most High and His Son. I'm just a vessel. So what were we talking about before that happened? Let's see. Okay, let's go back in the chat. I guess I can't express when I'm tired and overwhelmed. Gotta be careful, because that's prideful. All right, so, what else do we have here? All right, you guys, I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to get off of here. I'm just a little overwhelmed today. The attacks seem to be coming from all directions. So I'm going to pop off of here, and I will see you guys in the morning with some of these headlines. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.